It's This Week in X back on the Hellfire Gala red carpet to talk about New Mutants 19 out on the 16th of June, 2021. And let's get the initial reactions from our panel, starting with Tyler.
From laughs to shocks, this book covers everything in one issue.
Harry.
An art change can't stop this book from getting even better.
Freya.
I was depressed by the end of it. So, it's going to be difficult to talk about it. And you, Peter?
This issue is a little bit lighter on content, but that's fine because it had great characterization. And now let's get into a fuller discussion of everything about New Mutants number 19 here on This Week in X. All right, folks, it's time for our full discussion of the plot, the themes, everything around New Mutants number 19. That's going to be full of spoilers for this issue and, of course, any other issues. We are almost certainly going to reference Planet-Size X-Men at least a little. So canonically, you should listen to our discussion on that, or at least read that first before you get into this discussion. Just a brief content note on our discussion of New Mutants 19. We do briefly get into a discussion of self-harm and speculation about self-harm. If that's not something that's going to be comfortable or good for you to listen to, we understand. And we will see you on our discussion next week. Tyler, what is your full reaction to this issue?
I'm very happy to see Ayala continues to layer stories here, even as we move several plots. We move several plots along at varying pace. Alex Lins is a welcome fill in each artist, and I don't really know his art before, so this is the first time I see it. I really like it. This is quite easily 4 stuck on durians out of 5.
Harry, what about you?
So it makes sense that a book that's got such nice characterization and conversations would transfer over to a party issue really well. And I feel like this is definitely one of the better gala issues, and this is one of the best issues of the series. It's just a lot of nice setting up and paying off character beats and plot things.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like the flashiest thing, but it's incredibly solid. And this is like an issue where everything is moving and trucking and feels completely in tune and so right. And the art, I think, is really good. It's different. It's got a lot of different designs, but I gelled to it pretty quickly. So I'm going to give it a 4.25, eviscerating, negging people out of 5.
Fariha, what about you?
So every New Mutant issue, when we try to come up with something for the title card, one that we always say that kids are not all right, that's just keep bringing that up. And oh boy, like that was just hit hard, punched in the face, and it all happened in a space of a party. Like it kind of worked on that genre of like there's a murder while there's a party going on, and it played on that, and you were not you're not expecting it. And it took a lot out of me. Like it took a lot out of me, and I was not necessarily prepared for that, and I don't know if I am okay with it, especially the fact that there was actual panel of it. I want to kind of, I was in tears at the end of it, and it was not, it really hit me hard. And also the art was very refreshing. This is the art I want all the time for New Mutants, because there's a lot of comedy going on, but we know that there's a very tragedy underneath that, so it just, there was I think it was like a perfect second main course followed by Planet-Size.
I really loved this issue. I really think it had a masterful amount of characterization from Vitaella of these characters. I wonder, for somebody who doesn't have the depth of affinity for these characters, if it might feel a little bit frivolous, because plot-wise, did a whole lot really happen? We'll get into that. But I think that something that I reflected on is the very best of Claremont and Louise Simonson on New Mutants tended to be an issue where there was one central problem that was really stuck a thorn in one of their paws, and they kind of all are reacting to it. And that's what we got here. And it's, even though the previous issues have been a little bit focused on the younger generation, this has all the hallmarks of just a great New Mutants issue, even with some characters that are not typical New Mutants characters, like Warpath, thrown into that deck of cards. So I really enjoyed it for that reason. And I think, again, they have done such good writing across this whole arc that you can get away with an issue that loosens up a little bit and then comes in for the punch at the end because you've done the work. And when you've done the work and every issue feels dense and every issue really feels important and like you couldn't have skipped it, then you get the ability to be a little bit perhaps frivolous. I will echo to the art so that we don't have to go around again. I think Alex Lin's was phenomenal. I was online like, who is this person? Why do they only have a couple hundred Twitter followers? Like, what is going on here? I think their art was beautiful. It was like New Mutants, the animated series. I loved it so much. And it doesn't fight with Rice's art. It takes the most animated qualities of Rice's art and the most kind of, as one of you said, the kind of weird moments of his art and just kind of continues it with a little bit more of a cartoon sheen on it. And I think we can't ignore the colors either from Matt Milla, which are phenomenal. This has such a gentle glow to all of the characters, to the nice edge lighting he puts on them, but it's not shiny, which I think would take away from how beautiful Linz's art. Like if you look at the confrontation between Danny and Rain, where they really have it out, there's no reflection on any of them. There's light on Rain's face, but it doesn't get into the shiny, reflecty, and I think that's in great service. So great writing, great art, totally delivered for me. And I think we have some fun stuff to talk about. Well, since we all
reach out to Linz.
Yeah, we got to write to Linz and be like, we love you. You know, not that we do interviews or anything on this show, but like,
no, I did.
I reached out.
I reached out to him and said that, and told him that I love his art because I just read New Mutants, and then I asked him if he does them traditionally or digitally. I've not seen his reply yet. And you know, if he does them traditionally, I might buy a page.
I don't know about this. I would have a hard time believing that he works traditional. I'm very interested to hear your answer, just because of the line quality in these, but you never know.
Yeah,
it really complements Rod Rice's art with being very much being its own thing.
Yeah, like he kept up with the no face. Like since Peter pointed out about the no face, I cannot not notice
I'm sorry,
it.
It's a pet peeve of mine. I apologize.
No, I mean, there's like so many things now I cannot stop noticing because Peter pointed it out. And I'm
Peter,
like,
bad form.
Like,
it's my lot in life, noticing the less than noticeable.
So we want to, I want to start the issue with like the party scenes because I love party scenes in every, like so far all the party scenes have been the one that really like in Wolverine making meet up like plans with Thor. I thought that was very sweet. Like it's like I'm free that day. Like do you want to catch a beer? I was like, oh, so this is what I'm talking about when I'm like synergy between Marvel heroes. Like this is good. It should be this way, but.
Something
Thor
that I really
care
appreciated.
Politics.
Thor's just there for some mead, right? He doesn't need to get it. He's a mead drinker before he's the ruler of Asgard. Something I really appreciated is that this was an issue that felt like it used the party as the right kind of backdrop, which I think I'll probably also talk a little bit in X-Core #2. It didn't just feel like a party issue that didn't take advantage of its plot. It didn't feel like a plot that wasn't taking advantage of the party. We needed this kind of open, cacophonous social situation to get things like Danny's interaction with Rain, to get things like somebody being nasty to Karma and Magic coming to her defense. Like that used the party as it should be used. I think much better than maybe some of the other titles.
Wait, or is it the other way around? Somebody being nasty to Magic and Karma coming to the defense?
I guess it kind of goes both ways.
Yeah.
But what else stuck out in the party to you, Tyler?
I mean, the thing is that what stuck out to me is something which has nothing to do with the New Mutants. Is really, did Laura just basically told Sync, no, bye?
No.
And then Sync is like, oh.
I didn't get that.
Well, in the open page, like Sync was walking towards Laura, right? And then she has a hand there. And then Sync was like, oh.
So I kind of looked at it as well, but I kind of thought that Laura didn't even recognize him.
Oh, really?
I kind of looked at it as like, oh yeah, we're teammates now. Bye.
Yeah.
Like see you at the office on Monday.
Yeah, bye. Like, oh my God, we won. Like, we won. Bye. And then Laura just walked out. So that's how I saw it, and I felt bad for the man.
Me
too. I know, right? And and that's the thing about this, right? It's just 2 panels, and then and it tells so much about these 2 characters. that
Right.
are not even the cast of New Mutants. And I mean, I just thought this stood out a little bit for me. And of course the whole thing about Warlock and Warpath. Warpath is fast becoming like a really good counselor.
It's such
Yeah,
a
he's
good version of. I mean, I love
Mhm.
Warpath. He's probably my top like 25 mutants usually, but
Mhm.
this is such a fun take on Warpath and his sensitivity and how he's this big hulking guy, but then if you give him time to like work through things, he comes out with these like really thoughtful responses, very human, and I just love it. It's great. It's such a contrast to using him as this like X-Force, my knives kind of like guy, you know?
I'm
My
fine.
knives.
Which one of you had his costume as your not liked? Because there was a conversation about his costume here as well. That was delightful. It's like, oh my god, do you know how to get a man disrobe a man? And it's like, what? Like,
I know.
I just by the way, one thing I want to go back to synth though, because you know how there's like an emoji that shows up. Did you see that synth has a love emoji on top of him? It's like it's
Yes.
kind of taken off, like it's like a love and like oh,
Yeah.
like it just. I thought that was so sad.
And I love
Yeah.
too in that party scene that there's actually it's not just like random assemblies of people. It actually like has there's things that are real that are happening, especially like Danny being known by people like Captain America. Like it makes sense because Danny has been a leader in many occasions. She's a Valkyrie. Like she is known to these other characters, and like Warlock doing his imitation. And then later the thing saying like, Warlock, I noticed you've been imitating people. That's only been happening in the art. So if you're somebody who just reads like bubble to bubble, then
Yeah.
you have to go back and be like, wait, has he been?
Has it
Because it was
noticed?
never remarked upon. And it's like, yeah, trust your artist enough to tell the story visually so that and then land the joke later as the
Yeah.
writer.
I
That
mean, it
to me
also
is like
mentioned
good comic booking.
it also was mentioned in the data page last week.
Right.
Last issue, sorry.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a Warlock mentions that. Sorry, not Warlock.
Warpath.
Like Warpath mentioned that.
Yeah.
But I am so super excited to see the 2 pages side by side when I get the oversized hardcover of one with like half of Dark Friend. What's his name? Like that guy. Warlock.
Warpath and Warlock.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
oh my
I
god,
get it,
that's
I
why
get it.
I kept getting like so Warlock and Warpath, but it's gonna be side by side, and that's like a half and half. So I thought that was done very well.
Yeah.
Well, we have some
And-
big topics to get through here. We have Danny and Ray's conversation, the group
Peter,
chat.
just one more point about this. Just
Sure.
a short point. I like that at the end of the conversation between the Warlock and Warpath, Warlock changed his the way he refers to Warpath from self-friend Warpath to self-friend James.
Yes. Little things.
So
like that.
so there's this transition from say you are a teammate to you are a friend.
Right.
Because
everybody's self-friend. It's self-friend is just anybody who's cooperating, right?
Oh, okay. There's okay, that's cute.
Well, we're going to get to that now. I just want to enumerate. We're going to talk a little bit about the Danny and Rain conversation. Of course, we're going to talk about the group chat. A great example of the data page possibly being the best page in the issue with it being totally plain layout-wise. We're going to talk about Shadow King and, of course, the ending. And maybe disrobing a man. I don't know. We might get there if anybody has any experience in that. But I do want to talk about primarily here Warlock starring in My Best Friend's Wedding ... happened a couple of weeks ago, and I'm still really upset about it because we really get here that he hasn't really not only has he not addressed his feelings about it, but he hasn't addressed Doug's feelings or Bay's feelings. He's not addressed any feelings. He's just allowing himself to be on the outside because he's on the outside. And there's this wonderful moment of artistic tension in this sequence as we're watching the Warlock voiceover and we see Warlock kind of wordlessly miming it through for Doug and Bay, where I really thought Bay was gonna reject him, right? He makes the crazy googly eyes. Bay puts her hands on his shoulder and I'm like, oh no. And then he brings them back hors d'oeuvres and they all love each other and I was so happy.
It's cute. It's so cute. It's a nice, warm, lovely moment. And friends are great.
And don't you love it when there's like this kind of like everybody's getting along kind of thing?
They
Like,
smiled.
It's just I really love these things, and then it's like when we are so used to seeing the trope of like, oh yeah, now that the friend is married and then the spouse is not going to and it's always that the woman is the one that is coming between two men's romance and stuff. But then in this one, like Vita was like, no, we're not gonna do that. she's going to accept him. And it's because, and it also shows another layers of Arakans and Arakis. Like, it's like within 2 weeks, they're kind of getting a hang of how to live a normal life, so. And it may be also possible that Doug has mentioned about Warlock a lot, and she's like, yeah, Doug loves you.
I just think it's interesting. It is a true triangle, right? People say love triangle, usually meaning, love right angle. But this is not a love triangle, but it's a plot triangle because each one of them should have an interesting connection with each other one of them.
Right. And I really loved it, even though there was I was kind of shocked by the Doug's look like this, that really kind of got me, but I was like, okay, at least they're
No, but that's the thing with Lin's arts is that he draws body language and facial expressions really well. Like, it sells the story, it sells the emotion, and it tracks with the text and the implied text. So I kind of really love that part.
Well, I want to get into the emotion. We're going to save the group chat for later so we can have some fun, because in the middle of that sequence is this brutal inset of Gabby in tears because this meeting, this connection between Warlock and Bay has Shadow King's voiceover. And he says, your friends came to me because they were curious and they trusted that they were safe. It felt good. He's talking about him feeling good. Warlock's feeling good here. Gabby's feeling awful. And just this tiny square, and the way that the lettering, I think, is it Lanham lettering this issue, I believe? The way that Lanham lays that lettering on the panel divide, which is not something that people usually are trying to do in lettering, but he lays it so that it's half on the Warlock panel, half in the Gabby panel, and it says, it felt good, and Warlock's unsure, and Gabby's crying this is good comic booking. But let's talk a little bit about Gabby's letter and her fate, which I'm a little unclear on personally. So I guess, really? Faria, what are you feeling about this, and what do you think has transpired off camera?
I mean, she's dead.
Right? But how did she get dead? Did the Shadow King kill her? Did he put her mind somewhere else? Did she kill herself? Did she just fall down a hole? She's very hard to kill.
So I know, and my thing was that, okay, I did not like the fact that we had to see it, because after all, she's a child.
Yeah.
And it's a vicious looking panel. And to me, it kind of came back this is one example where it's it wasn't because to move the story forward. This is actually I'm not gonna say that, oh, we just killed a girl, it's because it's not. It's it's a story that happened to a character, but I just felt like that we probably shouldn't need to see that the shot. I don't know, because, and here's why. And because I've been reading I started reading a lot of manga recently, and there has been a few mangas where it's they managed to get the feelings across just by words without showing you showing you something gratuitous, and it still impacts just as much, which is a credit as much to the translator as to the writer as well. But the thing is, it's done well. It can be done, and here we just kind of get it. And I don't know.
I think you need it because this is a character who can heal. So you need to show the body is dead to get across that she's not coming back from this, because it's very easy for a character like Wolverine or X-23 or whatever to be burnt or brutalized or whatever, but your brain is thinking, oh, okay, well, they're going to get better. But showing her just stark dead is showing this is final, this is concrete, which is
but it's not final.
Well, yeah, but in this body it is. So this happened. It's not saying this can get reversed.
And also don't forget the very first issue of Ayala's New Mutants. We talk about whether a clone will be they will bring back her or not, because
they will bring her back.
I mean, they will, but
Are we sure about that?
Are you gonna have to make a sinister deal to get her back?
Because Laura's now an X-Men. They're gonna bring her back because Laura's important now.
But my question is this: did
people love Honey Badger?
is what Peter sort of said earlier, right? Did Shadow King kill her, or did Shadow King's made her feel so sad that she killed herself?
See, now that's where the ambiguity is, more than
um
is she dead or not. And
Mm.
I don't think I think
I
I
really
don't know.
don't want I'm sorry, but I don't really want a X-Men comic to become about a child committing
I
suicide.
agree.
Oh no, no,
I
no.
I don't
Yeah, I'm
think
not saying that I
No, no,
want it in any way. I just
no, no,
think
no.
that that ambiguity existed in the way it was
Yeah.
presented.
they're going for that, but I
And-
don't
but
think
I
that
want
happened.
it to be Shadow. It's normal,
No, no,
black
no.
and white.
I'm not
because-
talking about like her killing herself because out of her own imagination. I'm just saying that Shadow King influenced her to that extent
Okay.
that it made her kill herself.
No,
Maybe.
I also don't want that.
I
But
don't want
to
that
add to
either.
the dead body conversation, I think Harry kind of nails it. Like, especially because they did like it's an arm. Like, because we know how Gabby's healing and her relation to her feeling things works, you have to be careful to not just show like an arm or a leg or whatever, because then it doesn't hit. But then also you want to show that she hasn't been like brutalized. Like you don't want to show this child like really beaten up. Like I agree,
Yeah.
any child dead on panel is affecting, but I think that like to try to present it in a really not sensationalized way where like you can see like she's a little bit bruised, I guess, but it just didn't, it came across to me almost like she's there, almost like this like snow angel in the plant life, and you couldn't have her eyes closed because you had to sell it rolled back. It's like I feel like a lot of care was taken, and knowing Ayla as I do from reading other comics of theirs, like I feel like they probably took care and being like, how do we show this and not make it a sensational image the way DC would show Batgirl dead on the ground with her ass up in the air in a sexualized way, you know?
It's
Like
still, but it's not. I'm not gonna go as far as say it was done like incredibly. I think all the options here aren't great, but like it's still a kind of upsetting and still a little gratuitous to me. I think there's not a better way to do it, but it did not like I was not like blown away by like the framing of it.
yeah, I mean, I think
For
you could
some
have gone
reason,
over the shoulder. You could have flown the camera over them and just said, it's Gabby, she's dead, and
Yeah.
not sold it with the visual. I think that probably
Sure.
would have been effective.
Because I
Yeah.
wanted, like, maybe it would have been better to see the reaction of Cosmar and them, because it's kind of hit it like, oh, we caught, like, somehow we are responsible, or because they just had a fight and then she ran off, right? So that would have been something. And the thing is, I feel like somehow I'm more unsettled by the fact that she's not as bruised because she's a fighter. Like
Yeah,
that,
that's creepy.
yeah, that kind of freaked me out more, that she's not bruised, there's no fight sign, or it's just not, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to talk too much.
Well,
about it, but
and don't forget the monologue by Farouk ended with "Goodbye, Gabriel
Mhm.
Kinley."
yeah, so
Yeah.
So that is like kind of chilling,
It could
right?
also we're talking like, oh, is it ambiguous to kill her or not? It might just be as simple as we don't want to show him killing a girl on screen,
Yeah,
but he definitely
absolutely.
killed her.
yeah, absolutely.
That's my read
So,
anyway.
yeah,
I
so
also
which-
think that
which also
reaction panel
kinda-
was great. Like that whole Anil Cosmar Rainboy. I think you could have just ended on
Yeah.
that panel. It's a really good panel. He cartoons Rainboy, I think the best we've seen him. It really sells like his amorphousness in a way that I don't know that Rice has like communicated fully to me. Not a knock on him because we love Rod Rice on this channel.
Yeah, oh
but
yeah.
like I just like got it way more in that moment. That I'm like, oh, he's just this bubble. He's just this water surface tension water bubble floating inside of this costume.
Yeah.
I mean, even No Girl had a reaction.
Yeah, she with her little
Like,
tentacles, like,
Yeah,
whoa.
it's like-
I feel like they just went a little bit harder on this just because this is a character whose power is like recovering from normally
Yeah.
fatal things. Like I think that's just all it is.
and
Well-
she doesn't feel pain, right?
No, she doesn't.
Oh.
She's in the
Yeah.
normal nerve endings. No, I'm going to bounce us to a happier topic, which is
Yeah.
the group chat. This Twitter has been lit up with praise and delight at the New Mutants group chat, where they're all talking about who they voted for and why. For most of them, it was not Sunspot. I think this communicates so much about these characters, sometimes in a word, in a way that really shows how well this book works. Does anybody have anything they want to talk about here, or can we just delight in it? I don't know.
Well, just the overall like delivery of it. I mean, I'm not like that young at this point, but like it is nice to see like a chat like that feels authentic rather than like an old man yelling at clouds trying to sound like the youths. Like no
Youths.
offense to someone like Jurgens, but you know what I mean? Like this seems more authentic than not, which is nice.
Well, I
really
mean,
like
part of it is like Magic being the one who's using emojis, except for the one other sentence, because we just established that Magic is bad at spelling. So if she's
Yeah.
on her phone, like she's just whipping out, it's just like little things like that. Like, of course, Magic would respond with emojis, and of course, she would just keep using the devil emoji because it's Magic. Like, it's just perfect.
No, I really liked the one that where she's like, Sunfire, 5-1 odds that Sunfire quits the first day anyway.
Yeah.
I
What was that
really
from?
want. It's from Clara Monserrat.
There we go. I
Yeah.
figured.
From the
because, you know,
first, I mean, he quit twice.
Yeah, he quit like right away.
He
like,
quit.
first
He
time.
quit. He quits right away, and then he
Yeah.
flew back to the plane, and then he quits
was-
again.
Think of it, Harry. Think of it like he was Jean Greying before Jean Grey.
I know. I was
Oh,
gonna
wow.
say Sunfire and Jean Grey. Who's
Like,
gonna quit in the most
quit the
spectacular way
fastest,
first?
like fast. But the thing is, like, I really like that. But I was like, also like, is this a foreshadowing?
Well,
Maybe it
yeah.
is.
The reason why people voted for Sunfire is because they want to take his place. They're like, oh yeah, Sunfire, let's vote for him. He's gonna quit, and then I can replace him.
Yeah.
Well, and also like the whole like Rain, don't be rude, Liana, and then Magic's like fingernails. And right after Moonstar was like, we do not use all caps in group chat, Roberta. Like it's just there's such a social dynamic that like
Yeah.
of course Wolfsbane wouldn't want anybody to say anything mean. Of course
Yeah.
Danny would be like nobody needs to use capital letters. It's just like it reminds me of our chat. Like it just feels like it just really reminds me of
Yeah.
us chatting all week.
The
And we're
Irish-
old. We're so much older than these characters.
We're very old. But the
I'm
thing is,
5
like,
or 6 times older than some of
Yeah.
them.
5 or 6.
Thanks, sir.
No.
No.
5 or 6
No,
times.
wait.
That's
What
a
kind-
joke about my
Yeah,
amorphous,
what
much
kind
speculated
of-
upon age.
What kind of elixir are you taking? I will need a source. If you're 5 or 6 times older than them.
No, but the thing is, at the end of it, like Barto just like he just left the
Yeah,
chat.
he just like-
Yeah,
he's just
Berto.
upset.
Yeah,
And Salmon Ball, like there's just so many.
It's like, what do you mean salmon ball? It's like
I love
doesn't
that.
make sense. It's like, but yeah.
Well,
So,
it's like
yeah,
when you
I
invited
really-
me to the group chat that we're both in recently, and then I back channeled to you. I'm like, who the fuck are all these people? I don't know what any of these nicknames are. Like,
And then yeah, those are like the nicknames that just kind of happen organically, and
Mm.
it's kind of like that. It's just like, oh my god, like
okay.
So
Then-
I really like that.
Well, somehow we got a downer and an upper, so let's do the downer first and then the upper. Danny and Rain reconnect in the middle of the party. We teased at it earlier, but Rain is going through some trauma. Her son is of indeterminate life status right now.
Mhm.
And it felt like really genuine. That Danny apologizes in a way that's real, and Rain's frustrated, but like she accepts it in a way that's real. And I just was like, wow, like what a great service to these characters to not just pit these two characters, these two women against each other, but to have like a genuine moment of like, wow, we both were in the wrong for a moment there, huh?
And
It's
I
a-
also like that she's like so depressed that she doesn't even want to dress up. That
Yes.
that was kind of like
Been there. No, I mean, it's
Well,
just a
I've-
beautifully shaded scene of just like.
But
yeah.
I felt that Rain is like being pretty passive aggressive here.
Oh
yeah.
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 Right.
I have no love for Rain anymore.
Yeah.
because
Just from an
Don't,
art
so-
standpoint, I think like Rain. I love Rain's design in this.
Oh,
I
it's
think
so
it's
good.
so.
Mm.
And there's like so much volume in the fur and her face. It's just like it is like the cartooning in the best freaking way. Like it looks so fun and cool. But the story is a little bit more shaded to be kind of melancholy and just two friends that have kind of messed up and they haven't really resolved it because they're at a party, but something's happening there.
But
And I
also
feel like we
right
can
before
all
that one,
relate.
the half frame of Danny cut off
Mhm.
right down the middle of her face with what's happening to his backups. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
It's
that was-
really good storytelling.
But there's this part about in the beginning where Rain basically outright lied about Gabby, or is she really that like oblivious?
oh, right, because this is right off of her leading her. Oh, I forgot that this happens like right after she leads her down by the river.
Yeah.
By the river.
Down by the
By the
river.
river.
That's why I keep saying that I want like a Trial of Rain series because
Yeah.
she is like, I mean, the fact that she lied about it,
Yeah.
that kind of made her an accessory to murder.
Well,
Yeah.
I
So
almost.
So I'm kind of now thinking it's like how this will come to be, like
Could it-
how this will come, and you know how you can make it make Wolverine the series about Laura and the Darkin.
Wolverine the family.
Exactly.
Yeah, that'd be
That's
great.
all. That's what we
Go
want.
and
Every
Shadow
Marvel fan
King-
wants it.
Shadow
Yeah,
King
like-
can control minds to some extent, right? Or that's a thing.
Well, we don't super know, because he's in his monologue, he's talking about how he had this friend, which was the Shadow King presence, but
Mhm.
he's a mole finally himself, separated from that. So like we don't really have any experience with the mole Farouk
No.
without the Shadow King.
Yeah.
I read that scene and I could be totally off if he doesn't have his powers here, but like considering
No,
that,
he has his powers.
okay,
because
He's definitely he's still
remember-
a psychic.
okay. I take
Remember
it.
in the beginning,
Sorry.
like when he was a kid, he has
Yeah.
powers.
Okay. My point being, like, I almost read like last scene of Rain, like bringing Gabby to Shadow King as like he had her somewhat in his thrall, and she didn't realize like the ramifications of what she was doing.
Yeah.
And I can see that as I can see that being a short walk too.
Mm,
All right, now that that's out of the way, I'm not even going to think about it. Back to my business at this party.
mm.
It's like a very mellow kind of like mind
could be.
tampering.
So the
that's
thing is, like, that kind of where, like, I'm gonna be the expert reader over here, like like explain so much. The part of it is like I just hate Rain's character now, because it's like there is no progress with this character. This is not the first time she does this weird nonsense, and then she just completely forgets about it. It's
Is
just
she
like,
like
yeah, she's-
perpetually sad? Is this her
Yes,
vibe?
yes,
Okay.
that
And she's
is her
perpetually like
plot.
under somebody else's control.
Apologetic,
Yeah.
She perpetuates the situation of being under somebody else's thumb. She does not like making her own decisions.
I don't know about that one bit.
Like, and the thing is, and here's the thing, she's also she had a relationship with a minor, like when Elixir was a
Yeah.
minor. Yeah, so
Yeah.
there was that's going for her, and then she decided I don't want to be an X Factor anymore, and then she just quits and goes to X Force, does absolutely nothing other than fuck on Wolf to have
F the
a
wolf.
child that she's now crying upset about.
There's
That's
really
the
not a
whole-
lot of
that's her whole arc.
pros to this character
Like,
compared to the
exactly.
cons.
And now she's like again under someone else's influence, and then it just like let's put her Shadow King next to Victor.
Dang.
I want to have faith that Ayla has a plan, and in order to go there, they had to kind of restate the status. Like, we can't just be like, oh, remember all those times Rain was an asshole, or like Rain was under somebody's control. It's like, okay, let's make this present, because again, let's not just make it for people who've read 100 X-Men comic books, right? So like, I will forgive. I'm on your side, but I will forgive this if we actually take Rain somewhere new in the next 10 issues.
And it seems kind of uninspired from what you guys are saying. It feels uninspired in the book, but like
It's-
IL's been doing a lot of really good work elsewhere, so I can't imagine there's something coming.
Well,
but I've
I'm so
complained
glad
about
we're
this space
I'm
before.
so glad that we're having this conversation, because it's gonna make my point in the next issue that we talk about.
Oh, boy.
So,
Oh,
Oh, boy.
But
Tyler,
wait,
and then
but-
we're ending on an upper. Tyler.
Danny and Rain has always have a really good relationship. So I think Ayala is setting up like a split here. So, I mean, just look at towards the end, the disrobing. Rain looks absolutely pissed when
She's over it. She's like toasting with champagne right now.
Yeah. And she
Well-
looks upset when Danny was like, "Oh, it's all in the wrist."
Yeah, I mean, a team that undresses together stays together. And this sequence, it's just so minor, and it comes after somebody complains about how they're dressed and they made this guy look terrible in front of everybody and embarrass him. Carmen, it's all just like party favor plot points. But it kind of results in them showing that they are a unit. It's the first time we've really seen them all together since the very beginning of this arc. And it just has like an amount of tenderness to it, which is set off by Rain kind of in the background, but then Magic appearing. And I don't know, there's just something so tender about it that really feels different than what a lot of X-Men comics are doing right now. I'm trying to think of where X-Men comics have felt personal. They felt private, but I don't know if I've really felt they feel tender the way that this scene does. I don't know. Is it just me?
X Factor.
I liked it.
Yeah, I was thinking about X Factor, but I don't know. Even this feels a little bit of a different.
It's a bit different because
Yeah.
X Factor has
Softer in
a
a good
little
way.
bit more of of a family dynamics with a dad and
Yeah,
a
it's more
mom.
paternal. It's
Yeah.
more custodial. This
Yeah.
is really about peers, you know?
Yeah. So they're all friends, all of roughly the same age, and they've known each other for a long time.
It's like a familiarity and a very like soft and like just warm kind of way. It doesn't feel like forced or like really effortful.
Before we go to like this tender moment that we were talking about, did we really need the harassment or like just straight up Chad just being in the party scene? Like, did we really needed that? I mean,
It went a
I
little
kind of glossed
long.
on that. Like, it was funny,
Oh,
haha. When
yeah.
I reread it, I was like, I
It
don't.
wasn't even
That's why I say this is just kind of
funny.
light on content, because I think that took up a lot of space that it didn't necessarily need to take up.
And the thing is, like, it's just like, I feel like, yeah, like it's one of those things like, oh my god, because this happened in reality. Well, I mean, can I have my fantasy moment where everybody's just having fun in party and we're not just dealing with this kind of thing? We've already dealt with like racist people in other issues, and now this is like it's even worse, and it's just like, I don't know.
And it occupies
like,
6 pages. Not every page is about it
Yeah.
exclusively.
It's
One of it is
long.
the beautiful full panel reveal of Karma's outfit. But I mean, it's a lot. It's like a third of the issue. Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah,
Karma's
and
outfit, by the way, I don't know that
at first I thought that that guy was from the Queer Eye.
No,
Like,
Vita Ayala has said she would never, or they would never do that
Yeah.
to them. So that's
Exactly.
yeah.
But the thing is, it really looked like
It
that
does
guy.
really
It
look
does.
like that person.
And then I was like, what the? And I was like, no, you can't do that. And then it's
Just
like, okay,
a
no,
negging
it's like,
queer eye
yeah,
guy.
it's someone different. And I'm like, ugh.
But
yeah,
also,
that
I
was
think
like,
it took until now for me to realize that Karma's dress is the motif of her power. Did you all understand that already? And I'm just slow. When you see it over the head when they're in the undressing scene, it's her power. It's the thing that appears around her head. And but it's this like inflated version. It reminds me of Comme des Garçons does these dresses that are like flattened, like it almost looks like a silhouette of a dress that somebody like ran a rolling pin over. And it's that. And so I was like, okay, before I didn't like this dress, but now I get it. And I'm like, now it's fashion.
The gear shape, I think that's what you're talking about.
Yeah. So I needed to see it a couple of times from different angles. And Karma says, impressive. If I have trouble getting out of mine later, I know who to call.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
All right, folks. Does anybody have a last lingering thought that you must express from your brains before we wrap up our discussion of New Mutants 19?
So can we put Xavier into the hole as well for allowing random mutant just be around children like this? Because this is his responsibility too. And then the second thing is that we really need to talk about the kids. Someone needs to do something about the kids because they didn't go to the party. They didn't go to the party, but then they were like, hey, at least they let us vote. That sounded really not good. Like,
but they went to Mars, right?
They have low self-esteem, clearly.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, they are not caring about all of that, and I feel like somehow Cosmar has become this like pity party leader kind of thing among them, and they're like, you know, they're. I think they go by they, like they.
No, I think we've established
she. Cosma is always
so she's like, you know, bringing everyone else kind of down with her. It's just like I'm just like, I'm not comfortable, which is not a bad thing. It's a good story point, but I feel like it needs to be. I hope that it's explored. And
it is because last issue, Magic is saying that look, we are no longer training them to use the powers. We are going to do something different. So hopefully we'll see that.
Yeah, I mean, but I just don't know whether Gabby's murder derails all of that. That's what and then whether they're held accountable, responsible for that. And I'm also gonna say though, like the Gabby's letter of Dear Laura read a little bit too.
We're gonna have a great time together, and we're gonna dress alike. We're gonna have a great night, and we're never gonna die. And then she dies.
Wait, did she write that?
And what state of mind was she in when she wrote it?
Yeah,
take lots of pictures, and I'm like,
we're gonna hug and sing, and we're gonna have great food.
Yeah.
I just think this is a really great, like, just escalation of like fun times at a party, while slowly starting to creep some horror and dread into it, and then just that ending hits you like a brick. It's
I'm
just
really
very
glad.
well done.
I'm really glad Jonathan wasn't there because you know you can't bring Jonathan back.
It's true.
Yeah. All right, y'all. That is our discussion of New Mutants number 19. If you want to hear our other discussions of the X-Men books out this week, boy, do we have a lot to say about those. So you're in for a treat, I think. And the whole reason we get together to have these discussions, good or bad, happy or sad, is why, Faria?
Better when it's read together.
That is right. So on behalf of myself, Faria, Harry, and Tyler, we want to thank you for being part of our together here on This Week in X, talking about this issue. And remember, it's really helpful if you like, comment, do all those things. And in terms of comments, what do you think is happening with Gabby here? And how culpable do you hold the Shadow King, or I guess we should say Amal Farouk, based on his current disposition? And how culpable do you hold Rain? So let us know in the comments below. We love chatting with you over the course of the week. And until we get to talk to you in person again, we hope that you are well.
Bye.